fooling yourself.
God, a myth for the weak. Look at the world. Chaos, suffering. Where's your savior now?
What kind of man are you? Always second guessing, never decisive. Real men lead, you follow. You falter, pathetic. Choices define it.
She deserves better. Your love is weak, unreliable.
How long would you see he's a fraud? You're an apple rock. You're a crumbly sin.
Daddy, you're supposed to protect, teach, inspire. But look, failures pile up. What legacy are you leaving?
The battle within never ends. Fight me if you can.
Good morning, Will. Welcome to the first edition of the BTSI show. I'm your host and moderator, Christopher J.
It's just that I didn't want to force this out there. Oh, Lord, y'all just don't know how it feels to be back. I'm trying to tell y'all, I'm going to try to solve this the best way I can. Maybe later on down the future, but as of right now, that's not now. It's not the time. I'm not a wordsmith neither, not yet at least. But I want to say there are some words that are being misused and misrepresented. Hey y'all, welcome to another edition of the BTSI show. I'm your host Christopher J. Sorry, I'm in my own house. I'm doing this episode today to say goodbye. Hey y'all, Happy New Year's. Welcome to 2021 and welcome to another edition of the BTSI show. I'm your host Christopher J. I'm not going to agree with everything he says, but he do make a lot of sense and he makes a lot of great points. So much so that I put him on the list of black people I need to listen to. Matter of fact, I'm shooting straight from the hip. We got a lot to talk about today. So I need all the black women, all the black men to come here, shut up, and listen. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the first live stream of the BTSI show. I am your host, Christopher J. Of course, you got Amanda Seals' character. Her name escapes my mind at the moment. But when I watched it, I noticed she had some pink and green. I said, okay, she was an AKA. Now, according to the blogs, the fans, social media, they didn't appreciate that she was rocking pink and green, representing AKA sororities. Now, you guys are watching on YouTube. You notice my background looks a little different. I'm at my mom's house. Here's why. Unfortunately, my house is affected with the new variant. Those of you guys who are watching me, you're watching me now on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and I'm on my IG Live right now. And of course, you guys can see the background. I'm also on Clubhouse. You offended me. You should be fired. I say, if you're offended, you should go talk to your father and go get thicker skin. Here's why.
As you got to see, we are in Washington, D.C. I made it to the Capitol building. And guess what? I found a co host. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Brittany B.
Hi, yay!
Thank you guys for tuning in. And Brittany, thank you for being a co host, helping me out with this. I genuinely appreciate it.
No problem.
But you guys already know what to do. Welcome to the BTSI show. Christopher J, Brittany B, do us a favor. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube.
Make sure you hit the like button.
Follow us on our.
You mad cause your daughter with me on spring break? Well, Alleluia, thank God that it's been another day. Alleluia, got a job for everybody, let them spray. Alleluia, thank God that it's been another day. Alleluia, got a job for everybody, let them spray. Roll another one cause I'm winning. In my photo, looking real photogenic. Gentleman attire and threads that won't inspire. I'm in a class of my own, my teacher got fired. Money getting low, the rate keep rising. Versace outfit cost me 3,000. From the P houses, did it from the week hours. Selling that chicken, no lemon pepper, no sweet and sour. Alleluia, thank God that it's been another day. Alleluia, got a job for everybody, let them spray. Alleluia, thank God that it's been another day. Alleluia, got a job for everybody, let them spray.
What's up, Chris?
Hey, what up, Swan? What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another edition of the BTSI show. I'm your host, Christopher J. Thank you guys for tuning in. So glad to be back. Let me make that adjustment. There we go. So glad to be back. Made a couple of updates. Hey, Swan, can you do me a favor? If you can ping and mod whoever, I would greatly appreciate it. But I appreciate you being there. YG, what's up, man?
Hey, Chris. Hey, Swan.
So thank you guys. Take a moment. Thank you guys for tuning in. And as you guys know, I made some adjustments. The banner's up top now. I know I finally got with the times. I know I'm a bit old like that, but we'll be all right. If you want more content like this, subscribe and share. If you want to follow me on all my socials, the links are located in the description. Participants, waive the rights to privacy. We're on the road to 1,500 subscribers. Once we reach that goal, one lucky person will get a cash out giveaway, and we'll do 3 runner-ups like we did before. So this topic, I've been having this topic for the last 2.5 years. One person I talk to more than everybody else, but I'm ready to finally say what I want to say about this topic uninterrupted, and I can get my full thought out. And also, the links are already pinned. Whoever wants to come up, add their voice to it, they're more than welcome to. And some people say it's kind of late to be having this topic. Trust me, this is the time I can actually speak on this. So we're going to talk about the idea or the concept of free will and if it exists or not. I know this has been one of those conversations that people tend to stay away from. And I always tell people you just know how to read and use context clues, comprehension skills, or critical thinking. This is actually not too difficult of a topic to discuss and really understand. So we're going to have that conversation today. Some people are going to say, you putting this on YouTube for everybody to access, it might come back to bite you. Trust me, I'm not that hard to find. So if they have an issue, come talk to me about it, and we got that conversation. So, you guys already know. Before we get started, let's do some quickies, shall we? Now, what is first on our list today to talk about? Three topics that we're going to get to the main topic. I probably ain't going to spend too much time on this. Do want to take a moment to congratulate to all the New Yorkers out there. Yes, shout out to the New York Knicks, 53 drought gone, NBA champions. I almost got emotional with watching all the people celebrate because they earned it. Jalen Brunson reminds me of a younger Allen Iverson, somebody who may not have the stature, or they believe he doesn't fit in the typical NBA system. Like, and he's going against giants, he's going to lose. Jalen Brunson proved everybody wrong. Shout out to him. Shout out to my Nigerian brother OG, clutch tip in for game 4. Hey, Nigerians have been doing their thing this year. Hey, Huffy's in the bed. What's up, Huffy? And with that, shout out to Mike Brown. Shout out to the organization. James Dolan finally did something right. Finally, I think staying out the way, he needs to do that more often. You guys might see some more championships in the future. That's just my take on that. Nevertheless, shout out to the New York Knicks for getting the job done after 53 years. So shout out to you guys. Next up, Donald Trump. And let me get this out. Here we go. Trump administration ordered by judge to reinstall history exhibits related to slavery at National Park. On Friday, a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to reinstall exhibits and signs related to slavery and climate change that have been removed from the national park and monuments. The judge stated that these removals occur because they, and I quote, do not align with this preferable narrative, end quote. This ruling resulted from a coalition of organizations dedicated to preserving America's national parks, bringing the case forward. Here's my take. Black history, slavery, that's American history. Black history is American history. You cannot what's what I'm looking for? You cannot silence or get rid of the past, because that is what made this country what it is today. This country was made off the backs of slaves, black people stolen from another continent and brought here. Even some people who I know, and FBAs, I don't know the history, too much of the history about that. I'm not going to act like I know, but they in here along with Black history as well. So with that being stated, I have no problem with them reinstating that, because you just cannot wipe away history. You can't not turn the situation. No, you can't cover up history. I don't care who you are or what position you hold in office. Black history is Black history. The African slaves, that's part of American history as well. You cannot whitewash history. It's never going to happen. So shout out to the federal judges making that stance. I have zero problems with that. And next up, last topics. I know we're kind of zooming through this, but we really want to get into this free will conversation. Michael is now officially the highest grossing musical biopic, surpassing Bohemian Rhapsody. I wish Starscream was in here so I could tell him how wrong he is per usual. This is on course to hitting $1 billion. I think it surpassed the $915 million mark worldwide. I keep telling people there's something special about this biopic that I just never felt this way about a movie before, or in a long time. And just watching that biopic, here's one thing I have easily stated: I'm not working that hard. I'm not working hard enough in comparison to what Michael Jackson has done. I need to get out there and get it. That the person that played Joe Jackson, he should be nominated for Best Supporting Actor. That's how exceptional of a job that he did. I know there's a lot of people who were critics of the movie, critiquing every single thing, saying this Maka didn't do this, Maka didn't do that, blah 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 blah. I hear what you guys are saying. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Nevertheless, the script was great. Everything about that movie was cool. I know Starscreen got aggravated because they use a CGI animals versus the real animals. Ladies and gentlemen, he Michael Jackson owned a snake. If I ever had to play any parts of the movie and they suggest that we use a real snake, that's gonna be my last day on set. So just nitpicking, just to be a contrarian. I don't understand why people like that exist, but they're here. We just got to deal with it. But nevertheless, it surpassed Bohemian Rhapsody, which obviously was an exceptional movie as well. And with the biopic about to hit $1 billion, I give it another couple of weeks. It's going to hit $1 billion, and yeah, every I guess ask the critics where you guys at right now, because obviously if the movie sucked like y'all said it sucked, it would not be on the verge of hitting $1 billion. So Michael being the highest grossing biopic movie, this is honestly this should be a surprise to no one. So shout out to them. You will shut up when I'm talking on YouTube, sir.
Oh, you on YouTube?
Yes. Thank you. So with that being stated, shout out to Michael. It was a great movie. Now you want to ask me, do I think the sequel is going to surpass that? We're going to have to wait to see. I have to see where they're going with this second movie, or if is it going to be a 3-part movie? We don't know yet. But right now, I say take a moment, enjoy the movie that we have right now. There is something special about this movie. I have nothing but good things to say about it. So shout out to them regarding that. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Quick Hits. All right. So with that being stated, let's finally get into the show. Now, regarding this idea of free will, first things first, this is the BTSI show. I'm your host, Christopher J. Do me a favor, like, share, subscribe. And for those on Clubhouse, make sure you share this to a friend or two. Now, does free will exist? Ladies and gentlemen, here's how my story of free will began. I was in middle school. Going back to when I say middle school, I should really go back to say Sunday school. I was between the ages of 13 and 15. Um, Mr. Glenn, I still remember his name, Mr. Thomas Glenn. One Sunday, he taught us about free will. The most powerful thing that God has given us was a choice, and that's free will. Even so much so that stuck with me. I even repurposed that and taught that at a Bible study class in my high school one time. So I have always stuck with that. Now, as I tend to go through life, I am now coming across people who disagree. Dare I say, people who are contrarians. And also keep in mind, there's some underlying tension when it comes to the idea of anything biblically related or anything God related because of insert reason here. We don't have to go into that today. But as I was educating myself, there's 2 versions of free will, base versions that I want to make clear. There's a biblical version and a secular version. For those who don't know, secular version is anything that's not in the Bible. So, or spiritual related. So with that being stated, the question is, does free will exist? Now, I came across a couple of people. Ironically, the commonality in these 2 individuals is the letter B, and I'm gonna leave it at that. But they don't believe free will exists, and we will have one more so than the other. We'll have drag out, knockout fights behind this conversation. So, and it's hard to have conversations with people who are bullheaded, who is not giving space for people to articulate themselves and to give an explanation to prove, to at least just land a point. So I already knew one day that you guys know how I do. If we're having a conversation and I feel like I am being overtalked or not acknowledged or anything not respected, it's like, okay, I'm gonna have this conversation again, and you're going to hear my point one way or another. This is just one of those formats. Now with this format, it's easy for me to get my clear thoughts out, and how I break things down is the simple fact that you can't refute it. So it's like you're not arguing with me, you're arguing with the facts now. So, first things first, this topic of free will. What is free will? There's two definitions. Because we're about to see, does it exist? This is almost a talking point debunk, almost. But because people don't have these conversations quite often, I wouldn't consider this a talking point discussion. If anything, this is a philosophical and a theological conversation. So we're going to tackle both, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take some time and we're going to tackle both the concept or ideology of free will, if it exists, biblically or secularly. Does it exist? So let's do both. Let's go with the philosophical version, the secular version of free will. And of course, anybody's more than welcome. Anybody's more than welcome to jump in at any time in this conversation. Swan is here, El Jefe is here. You guys can chime in whenever you feel. And those around, if you guys want to join the online panel, the links are posted. If you're on YouTube, the link is pinned to it's pinned somewhere. I think at the bottom of your screen. These new YouTube updates. So you guys join the panel at any time. All I ask is let's be respectful and let's let people get their thoughts out, but let's not be too long-winded. Only person that can be long-winded is me, but if I'm having a conversation with people, I know how to conduct that. But let's get started. The philosophical definition of free will. This is the secular version, just to make sure. Free will usually refers to the ability of individuals to make. Oh, I'm tripping. I forgot I have a new whatchamacallit. So let me do this. I forgot I did all this hard work and I'm not about to even use the things to help me out. Here we go. There we go. So the free will usually refers to the ability of individuals to make choices independently without being fully determined by prior causes. And somebody let PhD up. Let me take that 10-second stuff off because I need that to stay on there. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that, y'all. So, in simple terms, free will usually means that people can make choices on their own without being completely controlled by what came before. That's a non-secular version. So, the biblical version is free will is often seen in a theological framework. It's the God-given capacity for humans to choose between good and evil, often with moral responsibilities tied to those choices. In a simple way to explain that, ladies and gentlemen, it's often seen as something God-given. It's the human ability to choose between good and bad, and we usually hold people responsible for their choices. So, in other words, the biblical free will is usually about divine plans and moral responsibilities, while secular tends to be more neutral kind of like a scientific or philosophical idea, excuse me. So those are the definitions, quick definitions of free will. Now, with that, ladies and gentlemen, some people, here's why I'm defining those, because people tend to merge these two definitions together. And what they do is they try to use the the secular one to debunk the biblical one, not knowing these are two definitions. These are literally two different definitions. Same word, two meanings. And when you're having conversations with people, um, it kind of bothers me. And I had this heads up. I had to write this out so I don't forget my thoughts on this. But why is it that people like to go down this route, which makes no sense to me? It's real simple. A lot of times people bring in the secular definition because they want the grounds, they want to ground the debate in what they see as empirical or rational evidence, likely casualties, brain process, or scientific predictabilities. By doing that, they try to argue that human behavior is determined by factors like genetics or environments, while might undercut a divine plan of moral responsibility. In other words, this is just another chance for people to find a way to stick it to God. Basically, that's all it is. And quite frankly, if they acknowledge that there are multiple definitions or sub definitions, which we'll get into the secular part of free will, but they refuse to accept it, I can honestly say they're being willfully ignorant, and we're surrounded by a lot, and I do mean a lot of willfully ignorant people uh, when it comes to having these conversations or merging the lines between secular and theological conversations. So, like I said, most people really just have a beef with God for whatever reason, and I say that's their business. Keep me out of it unless God puts me in it. But one thing is, in their midst, in their realms or their journey to debunk God or stick it to God, they make themselves look like fool. Because, like I say, these have two definitions used in the right context, which people tend not to do. So, why? At the end of the day, like I said, that your issue is with God, not with the person that's having the conversation. But that's just something that we already know. Now, continuing, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, anybody could jump in at any time. Now, the biblical translations regarding free will asserts that it does not pertain to predicting the outcomes. Rather, it pertains to possessing the options to do right or wrong, irrespective to the eventual results. Meaning, when it comes to the idea of free will, God is saying? You just have the right to choose. Don't worry about the outcome. That's none of your business. Understand that if I if you have a choice to do something, that's your choice. I can't force Swan to do something she don't want to do. I can't force PhD to do something he don't want to do. I can't force El Jefe to do something that they don't want to do. Starscream was here. I cannot force him to stay. To stay, he could leave and come as he please. That's free will. That's literally free will when we talk about the biblical the concept. So at the end of the day, free will isn't about knowing the future. It's about having the general ability to choose good or evil without knowing all the consequences. That's all biblical free will is. So when so I can tell you right now, at the end of the day, um, free will does exist, at least on God's side. At least on that side, free will exists. And with that, we can get to the other parts of that at a later time, or we can do it tonight and we can expound on that. But as far as free will, on biblically speaking, it does exist, and that's the end on that part. Now let's get to the philosophical level, because this one is interesting. Because this one I have the most, well, I have a general pushback with all of them, but this one right here gets people in an uproar, depending on who you talk to. When it comes to free will, the reason why a lot of people say free will doesn't exist on the philosophical level is because every it's hard for you to choose an outcome. It's something prior what's already predetermined. Meaning, if something happened in your environment it causes your decisions to already be pre-made. So what they say is, how is that free will if everything was already predetermined? So in other words, if every action is already predetermined or had a causality, that neutralized the ideology of free will. Excuse me. But here's my take on this. If I create my own outcome or my own choices, isn't that free will? Let me give you an example. If you present something to me, so Chris, you have a choice. You either choose option A or option B. These are your choices, and there's an outcome to every decision that you make. What if I say I chose option C and I decided to create my own choices, therefore it creates its own outcome? Isn't that free will at the end of the day? And quite frankly, that's a key point, because I'm making my own choices independently of any external influence. Represents a form of free will at the end, as I am compelled to follow someone else's decision or outcome. Instead, I will just create my own. If you give me multiple choice, DJ Vapes is in the building. Hey, DJ, what's good, man? How you feeling? If you give me two choices or three choices or whatever choice, and I decide to create my own choice, which then creates its own outcome, that's still free will. So that debunks the idea of outcome or something predetermined, because that doesn't matter because I'm making my own decision. Now, here's a setup and here's a question that I want to ask. Like I said, I had to write this down because I know my thoughts can be convoluted with a lot of things. So I want to make sure I get this part concise. So, oops, this is not touch screen, sorry. Neuroscientists, because granted what I said, I create my own choices, which creates its own outcome. Here's what neuroscientists will have to say. They argue that even your impulse to choose a new option still arises from a complex web of prior neutral process. In other words, even the creative, hey, what's the mo? Even the where we at? The creative leap choosing something unexpected may be driven by unconscious brain activity, not a truly independent act. So, from scientific angles, that might say that even new choices is just a product of prior conditions. Now, here's the question. If I'm not, ladies and gentlemen, think about what I'm about to ask. If I'm not fully aware of the previous circumstances and I choose to make my own choices or make my own decisions, how is that not free will? Because I would have to acknowledge that all these predetermined things, I would have to acknowledge that it exists. I can't acknowledge what exists or not if I have no whereabouts of it. So I'm going based off of I'm going based off of the moment, the right now, with the information that I have in front of me. I am making a decision regarding that. And not only that, I'm making my own decision because this is what's best for me. That at the end of the day is still free will. Because even if your brain process are shaping who you are, you still feel like you're unaware of those hidden factors at the end of the day. That's just, to me, that's just common sense. It's like you think you're making a new choice on your own. Your feelings of freedom comes from how you experience it, not from a fully understanding every reason behind it. That's still free will. So here will be my counterpoint to these neuroscientists. I need to understand what the predetermining factors are first. I must acknowledge them and consciously know this is in order to make a decision. However, if I don't know or am unaware of these factors, it undermines the idea that free will doesn't exist. I have to acknowledge that those factors are there, but I can't if I don't know they're there. Because if I know they're there, then I might go into the idea of what they believe that free will doesn't exist. But if I don't know its existence, I can't acknowledge it. And if I can't acknowledge it, then that debunks any possibility of you saying free will doesn't exist. It's always going to come down to what you acknowledge at the end of the day. See, when I have conversations with people, I let them know I acknowledge their statements. So I can say it's part of this conversation. But if there are some predetermining factors that I'm unaware of, you cannot say I'm making my decision based off of something I don't know exists. That doesn't make any sense. That in of itself debunks the neuroscientists saying there is no free will. That debunks them, and that gets them out the paint. So quickly, the breakdown on the biblical side, free will is a God-given capacity to choose between good and evil. Even though God knows the outcome, humans still have real choice. If y'all need some verses, you can go to examples of free will. You can go to Deuteronomy 30:19, Joshua 24:15, Galatians 5:13. And also, surrendering to God is still a free choice. It's just you're just aligning your purpose with God, with God's will. We'll get into that if we choose to. And regarding the philosophical approach, ladies and gentlemen, if I can get this thing to cooperate. Oh, sweet Jesus. Determinism suggests all choices arise from a prior cause like biology or environment. Neuroscience shows that some brain activity precedes conscious decisions, suggesting choices are not fully self-generated. Even if we all feel we're choosing, it may just be an illusion of free will. But then again, like I said, I will have to acknowledge that there are some predetermined factors that exist. But if I don't have no whereabouts that exist and I still make a decision and it creates its own outcome, then how can you say free will doesn't exist? But I just displayed it. That's a checkmate. So, ladies and gentlemen, on the biblical side, free will does exist. On the philosophical side, free will does exist. And also, for the neurosciences, I will say this. If you're going to say our decision is made predetermined by existing factors that we can't acknowledge, then dare I say, did you guys just prove that God exists? We can talk about that later.
Don't fucking fight with me, nigga! Rookie mistake. Don't do it again. Don't do it again.
Don't mind me about that. So, like I said, that was a lot to intake. Ladies and gentlemen, I totally understand, but these conversations about free will, I think is much more simpler than people try to say it's not. I think they go about their way to try and honestly, it all circles back to what theologians, excuse me, tongue twister, have discovered when reading the Bible, reading God's word, and quite frankly, free will has existed more ways than not one. And people try to do a non-secular version to keep it out the Bible, and people then try to debunk that. And it's like, come on, y'all, I'm gonna need y'all to put your brain cells together and realize it's okay to say free will exists. You had the power to choose. You had the power to make a decision, whether you know the outcomes or not. That's what free will is.
Hey, Chris, can I speak to it?
Yes, sir. Floor is open. You guys got it.
I mean, I'll be honest with y'all. I wanted to hear you get, everything out as far as what you thought about it. But I'll be honest with you. I'm not convinced on either one. That either one is actually free will. There's no, when you talk about like the I guess Christian version or Bible version, I don't believe that there's a scenario where there's no influence. Like, you have to be influenced just to determine between what is good and what is bad. Like, that's not something that you chose by yourself. That's something that the Bible influenced you on. That's something that the church influenced you on. That's something that your parents influenced you on. You're not making that decision in a bubble. And even more than that, those decisions, I mean, we as people are influenced by the decisions that we make, because you're going to be judged for them, right? If I say I want to do this or I want to do that, some people are going to agree with me. That would encourage me to go with that decision. Some people would disagree with me, and that would encourage me to, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe that's not a good idea. So, like, to think that we somehow exist in a bubble and that we can make decisions in a bubble, I mean, I don't think that it has merit to me personally. And even on the secular level, I do agree with what you said about, you know, the scientists, kind of what they're saying, right? Like, I don't believe that you have to be cognizant of the influence in order for it to be an influence. There's unconscious thought. There's subconscious thought. There's things that happen to you when you were a child that you may or may not recognize influence your decision today. And I think that for you to think that you have to have acknowledgement of that, I think is wrong. There's still an influence that's coming from those things. So I don't think in either scenario, free will exists.
So here's the thing with what you stated, and I acknowledge what you stated, what you just implemented on the choice of free will. Well, the concept of free will is simple. You have the right to choose. A lot of people like to say, well, so something made you make that decision, or something, like I said, you use the word influence, which is fine. Something influenced you to make that decision. I say you at least you have the right to choose. There's nothing wrong with getting all the information beforehand and making a decision based off of the information that you have, versus somebody making it for you. Because my mom, I can go to my mom's house and she can say, Chris, we're either eating pizza, or you're gonna get chicken. Which one do you want? I have the right to choose. Hey, that's the first part. Or if people say, well, she only gave you two options, so those are the only two options that you can choose from, which they say that debunks free will. Or I could say, oh, I'm just going to do option C, and I'm either not going to eat or I'm going to eat something else that's in the house. I created my own choice, and I could possibly create my own outcome. And granted, I'm doing something at my mama's house might lead to me getting knocked upside the head, but nevertheless, I have to live with every outcome of my decision, of my choices. So with that being stated, as long as you have the right to choose, you will always have free will, regardless of what the outcomes are going to be.
Is it free will if your mom says you can have chicken or you can have pork, and you take eggs because you know they're in the fridge? It's not the first time that you've had eggs, right? And you know they're in the fridge. So just because you chose something different, I don't believe that that's free will that you're choosing from. You're making a decision from the options that are available. That's not free will.
That's what, right. So that's why you could create your, I still think that's free will. However, you can create your own free will, regardless if you know what the outcomes are or not. Now, because what you're coming from is the standpoint of, as long as you know what the options are, what the outcome is, that doesn't prove free will, because you have the comfortability of making decisions, knowing what happens, what comes next after that. And now I can challenge you on that and say, what if you make a decision you don't know what's going to happen? That's still free. I would say that's still free will, Because if you're only go ahead.
What's going to happen? What do you mean by that? Like, we're talking about you're choosing dinner. I don't know if you're still talking in that context or not.
You can switch it up. If you got another example, we can go with that. What's that?
No, see, you said you're saying that you can choose something that wasn't an option for you. But I'm trying to understand, when you ask the question, are you still talking about that instance? Because you're talking about the consequences. But I'm talking about your actual decision. Your choice is based on, like, there's no way that we can ever eliminate our environment, the way that we've been raised. Even if you choose an option that's outside of that, right? Like, let's say that my dad was an alcoholic. And I choose never to take a drink of liquor. Part of the reason why I'm choosing that choice is because my dad was an alcoholic. I still don't see that as free will. It is based on something. It is based on my experiences. It's based on what I've seen from my father. It's based in something. And I'm saying that any decision that we make as humans is based on something, even if we choose outside of the options that we've been given. And I cannot think of a scenario that does not fit what I'm saying right now.
So with what you're saying, because I guess we're talking about the secular version, not more so the biblical version, because that just means you get to choose. Because that's literally what the Bible says. Now, you want to go to the philosophical side, we could play around with that. I have no problem, and you guys could jump in that anytime. By the way, so and like I said, I acknowledge your point by saying there's always something that influences our decisions, and you're saying because there's influence, there can be no free will. Is that correct?
That's right.
So, although I could tend to disagree with that, but I could challenge you on the part of what I stated earlier. I would have to acknowledge that there are predetermined factors that is coming into play of me making a decision. And what I'm telling you is all my decisions, all your decisions could be based on nothing predetermined. And you have to acknowledge that something predetermined exists, but how can you acknowledge it if you don't know what it is?
So
now you brought up but in fairness, you did bring up an example. The example of you choosing not to drink because your father drank. So that's fine because, like I said, I think the free will is still making a decision because there's people who have fathers that drink and they still choose to drink.
I agree, and I think both of those are not free will. They're based on their experience with their father. Even though one of them chose to drink, one of them chose not to drink, I think they're both based off of that experience.
Maybe. The only reason to say maybe is because they can make a decision that's totally independent of their father's influence. That doesn't negate. Would that negate free will still existing?
What would be an example of that?
Can I get up in here?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
What's up, Conjo?
I want to and shout out to the guy that's on stage, Charmaine. I noticed this has been something that we talked about for a long time, and I'm not trying to derail the room. So I apologize, Chris, if what I say derails the conversation. Carmelo Anthony, Austin Metcalf, right? That has been a very sensitive and emotionally driven subject, and it's sparked numerous debates online. I'm about to say a fact that might trigger some people. If Austin didn't choose to put his hands on Carmelo, he would still be alive.
Correct.
I'm going to weigh this on my Libra scale.
On
one side, you have choice, and on the other side, you have fate. I don't think you can have one without the other because choice, free will, is a framework that lies inside of fate. Now, the thing is, do you believe in fate? Do you believe that things are meant to be? Now it's going to boil down to, what do you personally believe? I believe that this is God's will. This is what was going to happen. Babies die every day. Since they've been going to war, missiles that hit schools, and killed 30 children here, 40 children here, 100 children here. That's God's will. That's what I believe. But it all boils down to your belief. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to debate on El Jefe on whether free will is real or not. But your opinion on this is going to be centered on the foundation of your religious beliefs, if you have any. But using the
mic check.
Situation, put his hands
Go back
on Carmelo.
go back like 10 seconds, Conte. You went up.
Yeah, because you said the last thing you said was it's going to come down to fate.
It's going to come down to fate. If Austin doesn't choose to put his hands on Carmelo, he's still alive. I think that's undebatable. Some people will try to debate that, right? Dictate whether you live or die. You gave an example, El Jefe.
Constant's going through the matrix.
I'm in the matrix.
Yeah, you keep going in and out.
I'm gonna just land right here. Hold on.
All right, no worries.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, the point that I was trying to say to end this, bro, is a man can choose not to drink because his father was an alcoholic, and that same man can get killed by a drunk driver. Life is poetic like that, and it's ironic like that. But free will, it's a real thing. When Tupac died, the first thing his girl said was she was trying to convince him to stay, not to go. And at first he was going to stay, but at the last minute, he let somebody talk him into going. Because she was asking him to just stay at the hotel with her, and he didn't want to. And he wanted to, but somebody convinced him and begged him to come outside with them. That's fate. You made that choice, you're not living no more. I think free will is a real thing, but that's just my opinion. I'm going to land right there.
No, that's a good submission, especially with the Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony situation. Everything, the most powerful thing that God gave us was a choice. And yes, granted, we did not. Well, we don't have to go down there. We could all agree whether what's his name, Carmelo Anthony, probably reacted or overreacted. Needless to say, this is just as simple as going to the club and somebody stepping on your shoes. Somebody step on your shoes, excuse me, let me rephrase that. If you accidentally step on somebody's shoes, you might not make it out that club. With the Austin Metcalf situation, had he kept his hands to himself and probably just go get the coach or the resource officer to take care of that situation, he would probably still be here today. You get to make your own choices, believe it or not. And quite frankly, I'm gonna be honest, ladies and gentlemen, another proof that free will exists. If Austin Metcalf knew he was going to get stabbed, would he have pushed him? It's little examples like that that show that regardless of what the outcome is, you have the right to choose. And that's free will. The right to choose, influenced or not. But bringing up Austin Metcalf was a good submission content. I appreciate that. Thank you. And also shout out to Swan, PhD, Kenny, and Charmaine is in the building. And shout out to my guy El Jefe. I like these conversations. Like I said, he's more than welcome in this room. Matter of fact, let me mind my guy up. He good in my book. So that's the that has always been the interesting part of these conversations when it comes to free will, especially when I'm having it with people, certain people, is to let them know that because sometimes they take it too far, way far left. This conversation we're having, it has been center focus, so this is great. Some people just go above and beyond to try to disprove free will, and it's like keep it simple. It's real simple. Free will is not that hard of a concept to understand, although it is interesting on what roles it can go down. But just keep the conversation real simple about free will. You have the right to choose. Nobody forced anybody to partake in this conversation, or excuse me, to come in this room or come on this live stream to have this conversation. You made that choice, regardless what the outcome is. Because the outcome, because what is the outcome, quite frankly, if you guys was to tune in and support me or not. I see you guys tomorrow. Hey, what's up? How you doing? And the energy is still going to be the same. I appreciate you guys coming here and supporting me, but you guys don't. That's cool too. I'm not going to look at you any different or despise you. No, heck no. We don't do that here. One thing I don't do is take away people's right to choose, because the way I say it, if God gave me the right to choose, it's on the right that I give it to everybody else. And it's real simple like that. So, biblical framework, the right to choose. On the philosophical, they argue determinism. And there was another one, and I forgot the name. I'm going to look it up because I might have to chop this down and probably repurpose it on other platforms. But they try to say the same thing, but they try to say it's freedom of knowing what the outcomes are. Ladies and gentlemen, do I know the outcome of my anything that I do? For the most part, the answer is no. I just do it anyway, and whatever happens, happens. I don't care about the outcome of all the stuff that I choose to do, more times than not, and that's what it is. This is how I always exercise this free will. And if somebody gives me a choice and I don't like the decision, I'll just create my own choice, which generates its own outcome. That's how I still keep free will alive when people try to take it away from me, especially as an adult. But that was the conversation about does free will exist, and those I appreciate El Jefe's submission. I appreciate content submission. I believe free will exists. I proved it on the biblical side, the secular side. And like I said, anybody opposed is cool. Hit me up, leave a comment. We can talk about it. We can talk about it till God calls us home. Now, one last thing before we go. Let's talk. If this thing just moves a little bit faster, we can get to the last topic. Yes, Elon Musk becomes the world's first trillionaire as SpaceX goes public. Ladies and gentlemen, I spoke about it earlier about the Michael Jackson doc. It reminded me that I'm not working hard enough. Elon Musk becoming a trillionaire. One more example that I'm not working hard enough, and I need to figure out this Charles Schwab situation, because I was trying to buy some stock in SpaceX, so that way I can start getting my portfolio up. But here's why I'm bringing all this up, because I remember I was in the room the other day, and everybody said we need to stop supporting Elon, Elon, and all this other stuff. And as you tend to progress in life, the haters are going to come out. I know with me, Swan, content, we we all experienced as we made a little bit of a tweak in how we run content on Clubhouse and YouTube. We do a little bit of something right, and people hate as we transition to a upper echelon. What I'm saying is this: be the hardest worker in your crew, and then challenge people around you to become the best version of who you are. Peace and blessings. Game challenged me one day about bettering the live stream. And obviously, I'm limited on what to do because of equipment. However, I still took that challenge and I said, let me see what I can do here. And when I did get it off your chest, number 104, yes, I done 104, get it off your chest. I implemented what he was trying to get me to do. I did it another way. And now I can run my platform similar to people who had all these desktop and all these thousands of dollars worth of equipment, where I probably just pay a phone bill of $125 a month or $150 a month. Elon Musk is who he is because people around him challenge him to be better, and now he's a trillionaire. No, what I'm saying is for all the people who is within earshots of me, be the hardest working person in your crew and push people around you to be better, so everybody can grow together and be great. And ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the second time we get in and out of here in 90 minutes. Thank the good Lord. But I want to open the floor to anybody that has any comments regarding today's show. We spoke about Trump administration being forced to reinstate historic artifacts regarding slavery. I know they took it out. The government's making them put it back. Knicks ended their 53-year drought. Michael Jackson biopic is about to hit $1 billion, the highest grossing biopic ever. And the concept of free will. Does anybody? I'll open the stage right now before we end. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I'll say this, man. I think to the point of free will, how I see it is that we have a choice. Maybe we have different scenes, right? So maybe we have a city scene, a forest scene, and a desert scene. And out of those three options, we choose one of them. And as we go along on whichever scene we choose, there's breaks in the path, and we got to choose to go left or we got to choose to go right. And those the choices that we make as we go down that road are a consequence of the previous choices that we've made. I don't think any of it's free will. I think we were already placed on a path, and all those are a consequence of that path that we're on. I think like even when we come out the womb and our parents are there, they're already teaching us something. This is who God is. This is what the Bible means. They're already giving us that information. I don't think there's a way to ever get away from that. But I appreciate the perspectives yet.
No, I appreciate you, man. Thank you. But you know what's one of the hardest Jay-Z bars? That he said in Renegade, no lie, I chose my own fate. I drove by the fork of the road and went straight. That is going to be one of the most hardest Jay-Z bars that I've ever heard. That is an example of free will. And I can't believe there's a Jay-Z. Dang, I got to give homeboy his part. There's a Jay-Z bar for every situation. So with what is basically Jay-Z saying? You either go left or you go right. He said, I'm Jay-Z. I'm going straight. That's free will. Because when I go straight, I'm creating an outcome that the person who's giving me these choices, they did not foresee. And I'm talking about humans, of course. They did not foresee what's going on or what it is. I'm choosing my own road. Now you get to see what these outcomes. Matter of fact, that's a good example of Jay-Z in general. A lot of pinnacles that Jay-Z has hit, he was never projected to do back in the early 90s, even when he becoming president of Def Jam. Didn't nobody see this Jay-Z ever. No one saw this. So they only said this is as far as you're going to reach. And what did Jay-Z do? push the ceiling higher. Hell, Elon is the first trillionaire in history. And I even looked up what's his name? Mansa Musa's how much money he had. They said it was only 400 billion. I'm going to question it. Well, we can question that another day in time because I want to know if that's accurate or not. But nevertheless, in recorded history and modern times, the first trillionaire is Elon. Nobody ever, and I do mean ever, think we were going to come across a trillionaire. Here we are. There's a trillionaire amongst us. I expect Jeff Bezos to hit that pinnacle. Nah, not Jeff Bezos. See, and just right there, I said I don't see Jeff Bezos hitting a trillion. I just put a cap on that. Jeff Bezos could look at the stream like, oh, really? Hold my billions. Let me show him something. Maybe a year or two later, he's a trillionaire. I gave him a choice. You either be billionaire, either you're going to keep your 250 billion, or maybe you get 500. He made his own path and got to the trillion mark. Someone did that with Elon Musk. He's a trillionaire now. I just did that to Jeff Bezos right now. And what's the other one's name? Bill Gates. They can shut me up in the next few years. Say we're trillionaires. What's good?
Zuckerberg is gonna get there. Meta has their hands in a lot of pots. They literally
Zuckerberg, yes. Zuckerberg too. Absolutely. Now that well, technically Elon Musk is African. I won't say that joke because that's gonna piss off certain people. I'm gonna leave that alone. But yeah, if I don't say anything profound, this is interesting. Hold on, y'all. We got a special guest. Eda Man is in the building. What's up, man?
What's up, brother? How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How much have you been hearing?
I just got here, brother.
So, E-Man, I'm actually glad you pulled up because you're a believer as well. So the idea of free will exists. What is your take on that?
I think that we have free will. I think God is watching us more than he's making us do things. If that's the case, he wouldn't say that we send ourselves to hell, if you believe in hell.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe God is watching us, but he know what we going to do, but he's still giving us the option to do it. I think everybody in their life have two roads to take. You can take one way of being a believer, and you could take one way of rejecting God. He loves us so much and he's a gentleman that he respects either decision that we make.
I'm of the same beliefs as well. Now, the reason why we're having this conversation because that's the theological side of free will, the definition. Because I would tell people there's two definitions. People like to keep it to one. Now, when it comes to the philosophical route, they try to say when they tell them about what free will is, they say if the outcomes are predetermined, there's no such thing as free will. What is your take on that?
No, I think the outcome is not predetermined. That's what I'm saying. So, see, God knows everything. And I'm going to say this for people. I'm not saying that this is real, but I want to give the analogy so you understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So, Chris, have you seen like the multiverse in the Marvel coming when you talk about Doctor Strange and it talks about all of these things and you like a catalyst that you can do different things and get different results?
Yes.
I believe that God knows the I think God knows what way we gonna go, but he put things in front of us to be able to make this. So that's why, because you gotta understand, nobody can say, Chris, God sent me to hell. And this is why if you start really getting into the biblical text, he say, hey, death and life is in the power of your tongue. He tells us that we got the power. God, when he turned the earth over to mankind, he said, hey, I am going to place my DNA and my spirit inside of them, and they got the option whether to use it or not. But I got to give them good and evil, because if I don't give them good and evil, that means they truly didn't have a choice.
Mm, that I will agree with. And a lot of people is so hyper focused on the idea of the predetermining factors that go into our decision making, which eradicates the idea of what free will is. I also tell them that I have to acknowledge that there are predetermined things that is influencing the decision I'm making, but the fact of the matter is, if I don't know what those determining factors are, how can I acknowledge it?
Well, you got to understand, even Jesus gave everyone choices, right?
Right.
When Jesus went to the disciples, he he didn't say you have to follow me. He said, "Hey, God's choice is you to follow me." But any of those disciples, and I think any of those disciples could have denied that walk. And this is why the Bible starts telling us that a man got to carry his own cross, right? What does that mean, right? You got
Mhm.
to carry your own cross. I believe that we have more power than we think we do. Like, we have the power to create whatever world we want to. God said, I'm going to put it inside of you, but it's almost like I don't know, have you ever watched the Avatar series?
Yes, I didn't watch Fire and Ash. I waiting for it to come out on Disney Plus, and I'm gonna watch it.
So if you watch the Avatar series, right? It was talking about I think Kyoshi, right? Avatar Kyoshi, right? One of the
Hmm.
she's really like one of the only female avatars that we hear them talk a lot about, right? So if you go back and listen to her story, she was homeless at the age of 5. Parents kicked her out, and it talks about how she was literally almost dead. She was going to die as a kid, and she had the power of the avatars, right? What am I saying? Some of us, all of
Oh,
us
that
believe.
Avatar. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the blue Avatar. I'm sorry.
No, no, no. I'm talking about the
The ants. My bad. My bad. You're
yeah,
right.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
other.
So the point that I'm telling people is everybody have the power inside of them. It's their responsibility to activate it. See, the trick of the enemy is for him to convince you that you're not as powerful as you really is.
Hmm.
And then some people die with a spirit that never was woken up inside of them because they had free will. If they did not have free will, Chris, God would just say, hey, that spirit's going to activate regardless. I was listening to this preacher. He was telling a story about how on his dad deathbed, he said that God called him to be a preacher, his father a preacher, and his father never answered the call. He rejected it.
Right.
A- As humans, we have the right to reject it. And this is the thing that people say, what's going to happen is going to happen. So me being a hooligan, me being degenerate, that's got in God's plan. No, 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 sir. That was in your plan. You rejected God's plan. So I do think humans have. Still hear me or no?
Okay, we can hear you now.
Our humans have the.
E-man might be getting
Yeah,
his
my
phone.
bad. My phone kept ringing.
It's all good.
Humans, humans have the ability to reject God's plan. This is why God didn't just make us into a spirit. He made us into a spirit, a soul, and flesh. It's three parts of us. If you go back and study the story of Adam and Eve, so before they ate the fruit, they was led by their spirit. They was in the divine order. But guess what? God didn't come from heaven and knock the fruit out their hand. He gave them the ability to make decisions. And so once you understand that we have the ability to make decisions, it shows us that we have free will, even though God give us all the answers.
Right. And that has always been the foundation of what free will is. I've learned that in Sunday school when Mr. Glenn taught that to me. I remember that when I repurposed that same teaching, went out to my my Bible study class in high school, and I know I've been challenged with that for the last 2.5 years. But based off of all the information that I gather, it has always been the same. As long as we have the right to make a decision, regardless of what the outcome is, we will always have free will. Whether you're talking biblically or philosophically, you always have the right to choose. No one's making you make a decision.
Yeah. And that's what people say. People, hey, let me tell you something I was telling this guy. I was like, the devil don't even have the power to make you make decisions. People just, but I hear people blame stuff on the devil all the time. See, the goal is for the devil to plant stuff in you. So the devil is one of the most patient creatures on earth. He
Mm-hmm.
sit there and he watch you. He understands your nature as a human. And so what he do is he sow the tares inside of you and he hope you don't uproot them. But it's not enough demons in the earth to cover all the humans. So they have to literally sow discord and they go their way. Now that thing do manifest in your brain and
Mm-hmm.
start producing. See, people don't understand every thought you have is not your thought. Like I start understanding this the more I kind of dived into my spiritual thought. I used to think some of the thoughts, I said, why am I thinking this crazy stuff? And I
Mm-hmm.
tell people often, you ain't. The devil sold the thought. Instead of you rebuking the thought, you meditated the thought. So we definitely got free will, brother. Without a doubt, we got free will. We got the ability to choose. It says, like even in the Bible, it tells us, it says, he says, you can choose light or dark. Then he tell us what to choose. I prefer you to choose light, but we do have a choice.
Yeah, and some people choose dark, regardless of what the outcome is, or if they care what the outcome is. They do what they want to do, and believe it or not, it goes against the obvious choice or the right choice. But either way, they have the right to choose, and even God gave that to them. So who am I to say it doesn't exist?
And I don't. And as I read the Bible, and I know some people say, "What it say this in the Bible?" As I read the Bible, I don't think that we was God first creations.
That's actually going to go
You
to
hear
a
me still?
conversation. Yeah, now I can hear you because I was like, that's actually gonna go to a conversation that I'm gonna have with the AI in the next week or two. But what do you mean by that? I just want to hear your take.
So yeah, I don't think that we was God first creations, right? And I know this some biblical people don't like when I say this, right? Because it's like if it ain't in the Bible, it's not true. See, it start talking about the devoid of earth, right? Something happened where God destroyed everything, in my opinion. This is my opinion. Let me state that, right? So I believe whatever God created first, he learned, and like I said, this is just my opinion, that he had to give his next creation the ability to make decisions. So but that's all. I tell people that if you really get into the Bible, it's deep. I hear people all the time. They be like, "I read the Bible's backwards and forward. I mean, forwards and backwards." Anybody tell me that? I turn the eye up to them. Right? I'm like, I don't know how you read about Bible backwards, but hey, I hear what you're saying. But you got to understand that I believe God created a something was created before us, and I'm not saying it was human because I think we are the first humans, but something was created first. And I believe that whatever was created first did not have the spirit inside of them. So he said, hey, I got to put myself inside these people. That's why I think Genesis 1 and 27, it says, he was having a conversation, by the way. He wasn't talking to himself. He said, hey, let us make mankind in our image, right? When he started talking
Mhm.
about that. And so, um, like I said, this is my thoughts. I believe that he created something without his image and it was destroyed. So I think he
I,
had to put God inside of us.
I'll put it like this. Because I was having a conversation with one of the AIs privately, of course, a couple of weeks ago, and I was going through that. One of the conversations we talked about was the Bible and the idea of obviously prehistoric animals existing. So, to my surprise, chickens are the closest things to dinosaurs that we have, which questions the idea of dinosaurs being extinct. One thing I asked, the Bible may not disprove uh, dinosaurs exist because there's some creatures in the Bible that are dinosaur-like, and I put that in air quotes. But if anything, the Bible doesn't debunk it. It's just a timeline. Like this is when this happened, and all of this took place after the great asteroid hit the Earth. So to your point, you're not off with when you say that there was something beforehand. Some of it, I kind of believe some of that survived and made its way to Genesis 1, chapter 1, verse 1. And you kind of get what I'm saying, or is that too far off?
I'm muted. I was just talking. I'm muted. Yeah. So no, 100% is definitely it's more deeper. See, the thing is, mankind believe that God told us everything. See, what people don't understand, when we get to heaven, Jesus is teaching in heaven. It's almost like somebody was telling me this, right? They said if you're looking out a window, right, from your viewpoint, you think you see everything. But
Hmm.
I think it's so much more to everything that we just don't know. And I remember
I agree.
a pastor's telling me, he was like, for God to give you all the knowledge that he have is almost like standing behind a engine, a jet engine. We just don't have the capacity to take it all. So he told us what we needed in the Bible for us to operate, in my opinion, in the world today. But there's certain things that just didn't win for us.
No, I totally agree. No pushback here, man. Not at all. But Omni, what's good, man? How you feeling, man? Peace, peace, peace. But yeah, that was it, man. I appreciate you pulling up because a lot of people, just especially people that I've been talking to who've been, everybody go, they try to say free will doesn't exist or whatever. But I always tell them, you understand that there's two definitions to this word. It really do a deep dive into it. Well, not that much of a deep dive. It's real simple. It has always existed because I always tell people I cannot force people to do something they don't want to do. They have to make that choice at the end of the day, whether they know what the outcome is or not.
Yeah, and then we was even having a conversation that angels don't have free will. I hear people say that all the time. Angels don't have free will. So angels,
I,
angels angels are different from us. Like if angels did not have free will, Satan doesn't make sense. Right? That doesn't make sense, right? But when you really kind of like just start diving into these things that God created, I do think they have a decision. Now, I do think you had two different. So, do you know it's classes of angels, right? See, people think it's only one class of angel. When you start studying angels, you got like the warring class angel, which is the angel that we see like Michael. That's what they think is the only class of angels. You also have what we call messenger angels. Where do we see a messenger angel in the Bible? We see that in Daniel. When the angel went to Daniel, his responsibility was not to fight, it was to go from the heavens down to the earth when Daniel was doing his 21-day fast. He said, I had to call on to Michael, the fighting angel. It tells me that he didn't have the ability to fight. He had to call somebody that was their class. So most people, like I said, it's so much more complex than people really know. So
no, that's a fact. That's a fact. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. And I just saw that Miss and Christian just pulled up. You guys, I know we're towards the end, but I'm gonna let you guys chime in. PhD, so you guys are more than welcome to chime in as well. The idea of free will existing or not. What's you guys take on it? If you guys have a take.
are they here?
Dang, it's like when we speak about free will, I think everybody has free will. nobody can force you to do anything because nobody's putting a gun to your head, you know? I think in some certain standpoints, some people may feel as if they don't have a free will because, you know, there's repercussions, you know, like if you don't go to work, you may be fired. So does the free will come into play? But I think at the end of the day, everybody has free will. Nobody is obligated to do anything. So we all have the power to do what we want.
You know, I agree because I know people who knew what the outcome was if they don't go to work, but they still made the decision not to go to work.
Yep. And then if the Bible tells us that we need to be willingly and obedient, most people think that's the same thing. It is not. It's not the same thing, right? I could be willing to do something, but not obedient to do it, and I could be obedient but not willing, right? And what it really comes down to, read the Bible. Why do God ask us to submit to Him if we have no choice? Like, if you really dive into the Bible when you start looking at free will, a creature that does not have choice, I wouldn't ask them to submit. This is when we have these like relationship conversations. Men say, I want her to be submitted to me because she have free will. If she didn't have free will, her husband wouldn't have to ask for submission. So anytime people saying these words like submission, it's saying that I have the free will, but I'm giving my will to you. And that's what God is asking us. He's not trying to make us into puppets. He's saying, you got the free will, but I'm telling you, give that power, give that will to me because I know what's best for you. And this is kind of the conversation of accepting Jesus Christ as your Lord, you know, actually making him the center of your life, making your decision based off his thoughts and his father thoughts, right? So but to each his own, like I said, people just when people say they ain't got free wills, they just don't want to be accountable for their will. But that's a whole nother conversation, Chris.
And also sidebar, here's proof that free will exists. Does you guys children do everything that they're supposed to do? Just rhetorical question. Answer that, and keep that to yourself. That's proof that free will exists. Christian, what's up, man?
What's up? What's going on?
What's your take? You'll be the last one. What's your take on free will existing or not? Do you believe it exists?
Well, I mean, well, if you live in the United States, you certainly have free will according to the Constitution of the United States, your state laws. Every state has a Republican form of government. You have the power to take over the government. You have power to remove anybody that you want from office, regardless of you taking on that responsibility or not. So, I mean, of course, we all have free will.
Okay, going that standpoint, I would definitely agree. Otherwise, especially in this country, Trump will be running it almost similar to Vladimir Putin if that was the case. But this is proof. We get to choose who we want as president as a country, and they do their time, and they pretty much keep it moving. So that is accurate. So yeah, thanks for that submission, man.
Well, I got a question. I know you're about to end it.
Go ahead,
Brother, do you think that other countries don't have free will?
Christian. That question's for you.
Most of the country, there's like 170, 180 some countries. Most of the countries in the world are not all under a constitutional republic where the people hold the power politically, all the way down to their house or their neighborhood where they live. I mean, the United States is one of the only countries that has this type of control. But the problem is the citizens in the country don't use it because of laziness or they have kids, they have family, they have jobs, all these other different reasons. But we do have this power and control.
Well, that's what I was trying to understand what you were saying because every country have free will. Every last one of them, right? I don't care whatever country you thinking of. If the people decide to upright, it's nothing the government can do. It's absolutely nothing. Listen, I know you think like see the goal is to make you be in fear that you don't have power. You can think of the worst country. We can go to Russia. If the Russian people took over that military, or quote unquote, Putin could not stop them from doing it.
Well, Russia is not a free country, even and even more so than Iran or China. I mean, there's a number of countries that I could rattle off that are not free. Even the ones that even claim to have a democracy, they're not free. You know, just based on who is currently elected as the president or the prime minister of that country.
I'm telling you, they do have free will. They have been tricked to believe that they don't. Fear is powerful. I don't think people understand how powerful fear is. Like this quote unquote um politician things, and we think they got as much control in these countries. They don't. No, they just fear. They put people in. Trust me, if you ever been to the Middle East, at a split second, those people, and this is why they're really big as in convincing people they're right, right? Like their way is the right way, right? But I'm telling you, in all of these countries that you're thinking about, China, if the Chinese people decided that they no longer wanted to live under a dictator, they have the power. You always have power in the numbers. So you do have free will, but most people are just cowards.
Well, I mean, even if you said that the country, Russia, China, some of the countries that we've mentioned are actually free. Um, even if you just did a small amount of check on the current status of those countries, even if you said that their laws allow the people to be free, and even if you said that they elect the president every so many years, or they elect some other higher level of government every few years, if the people don't understand or know that they're free, and the country turns into a government run state or a communist run state, then they're not free. I mean, even if their laws say that they're free, and even if the people don't know that they're free, if they're living under a communist or socialist run government, they're not free.
Have you ever heard of the example of the elephant?
Say that again.
Have you ever heard the story of the elephant, the trapped elephant?
The trap. I can't hear what you're saying. Something about elephant.
Yeah, the trapped elephant. The trapped elephant is what he's asking. Yes.
The trapped elephant. You mean just like a figure of speech? Like, what do I mean by that?
No, 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 no,
Uh,
no, no.
yeah,
I can tell you a story.
explain that concept.
Yeah. So what a
Well,
trap?
okay. So I'll give you an example. So here in the United States, in 2020, when we had the so-called coronavirus, people were under the impression that they had to abide by whatever the governor said or whatever the mayor said, not understanding that we have a Constitution of the United States, which the Constitution is the supreme law, the highest law of the land. So you had citizens of the United States, of the 50 states and the territories, who thought that they had to abide by what the governor said or what the mayor said versus what the Constitution of the United States says. That happens very often because people think that safety is a part of their freedom, or that being safe, so much as the government says that you're safe, that means that you're free, or if you have a threat of dying, that if the government says your threat of dying means that I get to take away your freedom. No, that's not how it works. So there many times citizens that live in a country will listen to the government because because obviously every citizen can't afford a lawyer or an attorney. Every citizen cannot hire a constitutional scholar to come to their house and explain to them how the Constitution works. So they're going to go along with whatever the governor says, or whatever the mayor says, or
No,
whatever
I just.
whatever their employer says. They're going to go along with that because they're under the impression that the governor or mayor is abiding by their freedoms or liberties in the Constitution.
But no, that's the point that I'm telling you. That's not. They still have free will. See, I'm not saying that you can convince people that they don't have free will. That doesn't mean that they don't have free will. For example, the elephant story, right? When elephants are smart, if they want to retain an elephant into an area, what they do is they tie a rope around his leg, and they tie him to this thing. And every time he pull his leg, in his mind, he's trapped. Then when he get older, he's like a big elephant that can pull that same stick out of the ground. They untie that elephant, and now this elephant in his mind feel that he is bound to this area when there's nothing human, nobody's binding him to it. So it's not that the elephant does not have free will. They have convinced him mentally that he don't have free will. Still have free will. So I get what you're saying is that the mayors can convince you, or they can kind of help you think that you don't have free will. But what it is they just made you believe a lie. They still had the free will. And we seen that in COVID. We saw people reject it. I seen people not wearing masks. I seen people going outside and it's just two groups of people. One group that believes the lie, and the other group of people who don't believe it. But both of those people have free will.
Well, yes, of course, the people still have free will to go and come as they please, but you also have something called public interest or reliance interest, and these things play a part. They play a role not only in the branches of the government, they play a role in the way that the economy works, the way that employers operate. So that public interest or the reliance interest, that all comes back to the public. If the public believes, and this is where the media comes in, if the media is communicating to the public that you don't have a specific or certain right, and the vast majority of the public by de facto says, well, the media says we don't have the right to do this, so we all cannot do this. If the public doesn't push back from that, that means that whatever the media or whatever the public interest is saying, by going along with it or not going along with it, that becomes that essentially becomes the law, just because of how they react or how they don't react to what is occurring. And that's what many of the citizens in a lot of the countries don't understand, because they think that, well, I have to vote in an election, and that's the only way that I can control what happens in the government. No, you're wrong. That's not how it works. It all functions or operates on public interest. And if at that time, during a coronavirus or some other catastrophic event, the public says, well, yes, we believe this, and then the media comes after that and says, well, the public is saying this, and here's an interview from this company or this CEO or that CEO or these employees at this company. That becomes essentially the way that the country goes, just not based on a law, not based on rules or regulations or anything. It's just based on just whatever reaction that they capture from the media. So, I mean, in a lot of aspects, a lot of people don't understand. A lot of the things that happen inside the country is only because of what the media is saying and what the public is not saying in reaction to the media. Because a lot of times the media is.
So I'm trying to. Can you tie? Can you?
Hold on, Christian.
Can you tie this into free will? Because I'm not disagreeing with none of the stuff you said.
Right.
I'm trying to understand what that got to do with the conversation of free will. Because none of that thing, everything you talked about, doesn't take away free will.
Right. Because what I was going to say, Christian, to what you're saying is, like, we could use Russia, we could use North Korea, or probably one of those examples, or some country that's runs on Muslim beliefs. It definitely feels like a dictatorship when you go to those countries. However, as citizens, yes, there might be some fear. There might be fear mongered into following the laws because the ultimate penalty is death. Nevertheless, there's these laws, these rules that's implemented. They can still choose not to honor them. Here's a great. There's two wild examples. Who was that one guy that used to play for the New York Knicks? I think he's a Muslim guy, a Muslim faith. I got to figure out what his name is. He spoke out against his president, or whoever's in charge, and the penalty for that is either locked up, life in jail, or death. He still spoke out against. Like, they could come to this country and they still can't speak out against their president. I've seen that in real time when I went to college at TSU. And the other example, is what's this porn star's name? Jesus Christ, Mia Khalifa. If she even steps foot in her country, she's going to get a bullet to her head or get decapitated. But with all of that, they still have the choice to say or do what they want to do. And them being linked to countries to where they can actually take their life at any time. You kind of get what we're saying, Christian?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you all that there is free will and there are unwritten understandings amongst the public, or even specific down to certain people that violated a law, and even if it's not a law, if the president or the leader of that country says this person is guilty of something, they can take them into custody. So I understand what you're saying, but what I'm trying to say is it's a lot more complicated than you think, because if a country cannot control, and yes, they can take it to the extreme. They can start executing its own citizens. But then if they start executing its own citizens, killing its citizens on sight, the United Nations are, which is a coalition of countries, if they decide, if they say, well, wait a minute, you all can't just start executing your citizens without them having any kind of trial, any kind of, shall we say, a compulsory process where they have a right to face their accuser and all these. They haven't had a trial, they haven't been charged, they haven't been arraigned, or they haven't gone to the ICJ, the International Court of Justice. So All I'm trying to say is it's a lot more complicated than you may think, because again, if they're able to convince the public that they don't have a certain right, and there's no reaction, no uprising from the public, and there's no country backing the public, then they don't have, then no, their rights are taken away, but by no action from the public, or no resistance or military uprising from the public. That's
But
where
that's the point we're trying to tell you.
so just because a country has rights, it doesn't just stop at the rights. The public there has to be some type of action or some type of resistance that supports that. It's not just the
I don't think it's that complicated.
Yeah, you're making it way more
Yeah,
complicated than it is.
have a constitution and that's it. It's more than just that.
yeah, Christian. No, Christian. So me and Either Man, we get what you're saying, but it's not that complicated regarding exercising free will. So we're not negating what you're saying is wrong, because I understand that that does happen, and in order to overthrow a government, certain things have to align correctly. Where we're just keeping it real simple, to where we say you still have the right to choose regardless. Although their government, ours to a lesser degree, but their government, because it's ultimately a dictatorship. They you can still spit in their face and say, I'm gonna still do what I want to do regardless of what the government say. And that basketball player's name is Enos Cantor. Enos Cantor, he used to play for the Knicks. He has spoken vehemently against his president from his native country. And like I say, if he steps foot off that plane to his country, they are waiting to imprison him or possibly kill him.
No. What I was saying is, you have freedom will, but you don't have the right to override someone else's freedom will.
Right.
So
Right.
so I got the right. I got the right to do whatever I want, but Chris, so I got the right to do whatever. I can run into Chris' house and do whatever I want, but he also got the right to operate in his free will. And so that's the point that I'm trying to help him understand is the right of the you. And you're right. A person can give up their free will. We saw that with slavery. People gave up their free will. You can give your free will up, but that doesn't mean you didn't have it. You just chose not to exercise it. It's a difference.
Yeah, different outcomes. And I brought his name earlier. Nat Turner's a great example. A great example. But I appreciate that back and forth. And Christian, like I said, we agree with what you're saying. I think we're just speaking to something a little bit different. But I think we're all in agreement here with the idea of free will does exist. And now shout out to El Jefe. He had a difference of opinion. I will make sure that part is articulated whenever I repurpose the content. But yes, I think we're all on the same page here.
Yeah, we're all on the same page, and I do not dispute at all about constitutional rights or supreme laws of the land, or the way that government works, and the difference between a law versus an executive decision. I don't dispute any of that at all. I just think that, as we saw more recently in 2020, the lines were blurred, and the only thing that stopped it was you had certain people that walked into courts and said, "No, you, governor, you cannot do this. No,
So
governor, you
what I'm telling
cannot
you is
do that."
laws are not real.
That's what stopped it.
But yeah, laws are not real. They're just words on a piece of paper. I know people don't like when I say that, but they're not real. I'm telling you, like, listen, at any point somebody can exercise their free will to take your life, right? But when you start looking at these laws on these papers, the only reason we give it power and authority is because we believe in them. It's almost the
Yeah.
same thing as money. If today that we woke up as Americans and said we're no longer valuing the dollar, it turns into a piece of paper. So you saying that these laws and these governors and they got all this power over us? No, they don't. We have just given them our free will. Really, that simple.
Well, no, that's precisely what I said, which is the governor doesn't have power or authority. Their power only comes from citizens or the people who decide to allow them into office. All the political power is held by the people. But what I'm trying to say is, if the people who have who hold and even retain, even after you elect the government or elect people or elect branches in the government, if the people that hold all the political power allow any of their rights to be violated or taken away, if they don't step up and do anything, all their freedoms and liberties get taken away.
Okay,
if they don't do anything to stop that from happening.
So Christian, you're right.
All their freedoms and liberties get taken away.
No, but Christian, you're right. That's still free will because they allowed it to happen when they can ultimately made a stop or try to stop it. That's still free will.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Got it. We good? We on it?
Yeah,
we're on the same page.
And I want to be clear: is nobody on earth can make me do anything. They can't make me. I have to agree to it. Because if I don't agree to it, they could take my life. I guess that's the ultimate thing. But this idea that people can take your free will with laws, rules, all these different things, nobody can take it from you. Only you can give it up. And that's the point we was making.
Right. And
exactly.
Right. We're on the same page. Hey, shout out to Eden, man. Shout out to Chris. That was a great conversation. Now, I know we was gonna end it, but it's only fair. Nacho's on the stage, unapologetic black is on the stage. Just to give you guys a concept, we was going to the parts of free will existing. I gave the theological definition. I gave a philosophical definition, and I understand how people tend to argue whether they exist or not. So I know I gave it to Christian, but Nacho on, if you guys want to speak on your belief of free will existing or not, the floor is you guys.
Oh yeah, shout out to you. Shout out to the room. Lovely space. So yeah, do I think free will exists? Absolutely. Absolutely. We have this conversation a lot about free will. Actually, it's really the only thing that you have to control your behavior, right? Everything around you is constantly trying to influence your behavior, whether it's the government, the religion, your family, your environment, your genes. Some might even say your astrological chart. But none of that you can control. The only thing that you can control is your free will and your freedom of choice. And I'll go even further before I land in 30 seconds. Free will is optimal with a man. Like as a man with free will, living in the United States, because it backs up your gift of free will, the United States Constitution guarantees your gift of free will, right? Other countries don't necessarily guarantee it. It's the American Constitution that supports it. So you as a man with this gift of free will, the U.S. Constitution supporting it, you have something called sovereignty, and you're born with it. And I think that's why you as men get a lot of flack. And, you have these agencies against you calling you toxic masculine, constantly trying to make you change your dynamic, your power dynamic, or make you feel guilty for being born with that power. But the truth is you were born as a sovereign, man with the power of free will. Me as a woman, I do have the power of free will, but I don't have the power of sovereignty because it's a patriarchal system. They expect me to come under a man. If it's not my husband, under my father or my brother. So shout out to you men
with that sovereign free will.
No. We got to dive into that. She can't
Yeah,
just throw that out.
let's go ahead and get some. Let me get you some coffee. We're gonna get comfortable. We gotta break that down. Go ahead, E man.
So I'm trying to understand. You think women do not have free will in the world?
In a patriarchal system.
In a patriarch, do you think that women don't have free will?
Nacho, that's for you. Nacho?
I'm sorry, can you repeat this question?
Do you what he was asking is, do you believe women don't have free will in a patriarchal system?
That's not what I said. They don't have sovereignty.
Oh, sovereignty.
But yes, they do have free will.
But they don't have sovereignty in a patriarchal system.
No.
So can you define sovereignty so I can make sure we got the same definition?
Yeah, we got to define that term. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and get
it has a definition. It's the ability to govern themselves. That's what she's talking about.
So, yeah, women definitely have the ability to govern themselves. That's what these men complain about online.
I can't understand what he's saying.
So Edelman said these women do have the ability to govern themselves. Go ahead and say that again.
Women do have the ability to govern themselves. That's what these dudes are complaining about online, that they have the free will to govern themselves.
Is he saying they do? What is he saying?
Yeah, he said women do have the ability to govern themselves in the patriarchal system. It says that's what people complain about online.
A woman's body has more regulations than the Second Amendment.
Explain.
Owning a gun, you have less regulations than a woman's body.
Okay, so what can a woman not do with her body?
I got you. So I'm gonna just start with recent time. It's a shame I gotta explain this. So in America in 2026, most states, with repeal of the Roe versus Wade at the federal level and pushing it to the state level, right? There's been more regulation on a woman's body than on your guns.
Well, answer my question, sir. What can a woman not do with her body?
Can you respond to what I just said?
I'm saying you're wrong. I am responding. And I'm saying you're wrong. A woman. Let me give you my stance. So you
understand. He disagreed. He heard you. He disagreed with you. He was asking you a question, but not right now. He's about to explain his stance right now in response to what you said.
All right. So anything.
I don't think he understands what I said.
Hold on. Let's see first. Edelman, go ahead and go with what you're about to say.
A woman can do anything, and this is what I keep telling y'all: these laws are not real. That was my whole statement. A woman can do anything with her body, and nobody can stop her from doing it. And what we're talking about is deletions. A woman can delete a baby, and there's nothing nobody can do to stop her from doing it, and that's a fact.
Right.
So why don't she have free will when she have the right to do whatever she want with her body?
So I was talking about sovereignty. When I was talking about abortion, I'm talking about sovereignty, brother. So I'm trying to contextualize the conversation, right? You're talking about free will from what it sounds like. So I'm validating Nacho's point that she made a distinction in what she was saying. So I'm gonna say this again, everybody. The Second Amendment is your gun rights. As a heated conversation that is during any election, federal election, right? And you hear about more regulatory legislation about a female's anatomy than you do about owning gun rights. And both of them are sensitive subjects politically. This is what I mean by people be on this app disagreeing, don't be understanding what's being said. Now, as far as free will goes, I can't say I got free will when I don't have sovereignty control over me. Meaning I have to follow the bylaws of the law of the land, or I am committing a crime.
You don't have to.
Hold on, Eman. Let him finish.
Just keep asking him not to go long. Just
no, he's not. He's going to get to the point. Trust me, Eman. He's going to get to the point, and we're going to give it back to you. I promise. Sorry.
So the point: if a person says we have free will, you're easily countered with sovereignty. You do not have sovereignty control over your person. You can't just walk outside and piss on a car in front of a cop. You can't. So you don't have free will. To sit here and say I'm expanding the answer But all I would have to say is, no, you don't, because of sovereignty. You don't have sovereignty control over yourself, so no, you do not have free will. I land.
Go ahead, E-Man.
Hello. So you do have free will and you do have sovereign. You can walk outside and pee on the cot. It's just consequences to your free will. That's the point that they arguing that I don't have something. Nobody can stop you from walking outside and doing it. Now it can be consequences for your actions that have nothing to do with sovereign or free will. I'm trying to help people understand that just because it's a reaction to your free will or sovereign doesn't mean that you don't have it.
So we at this point in time is clubhouse rationale and logic, right? If I had free will and I walk outside and I piss on myself, there would be no consequences. You see what I'm saying? Sovereignty culture. I didn't cut you off, man.
Hold on, E-Man. Hold on, E-Man.
The fact that I can I can't just walk outside, free will, kill a person. There's no penalty. So you do not have the free will because sovereignty trumps that. Alan.
No, but that's what I'm saying is that even God tell us that it's consequences for our free will. God said, hey, if you choose to separate from me, you go to hell. That's what I keep telling people. It's like, just because it's a consequence from your action does not mean that you don't have free will. I promise you, if you really just think of the logic of what you're saying, sir, is you keep saying, well, since it is an effect for my actions, that means that I don't have free will. You have the free will to delete somebody or shoot at somebody, but if you go to jail, they didn't take away your free will, quote unquote. They're just punishing you for the decisions that you made with your free will.
Right.
So Chris,
go ahead,
So Chris, here's the definition, y'all. This is why I be saying, man, cats on Clubhouse just be talking and talking. So free will is a philosophical and psychological concept that individuals possess the capacity to make voluntary choices and dictate their own actions independent of natural laws, fate, or prior conditioning. Even now, I'm going to bring in brainwashing, right? We're all indoctrinated from birth as we're taught right from wrong. Right there alone, your free will is removed. Indoctrination removes your free will. So how we're all indoctrinated when we're young, this is, I think, what we all have in common, even if you had shitty ass parents, right? We're taught to use our words to express ourselves, right? If free will is eliminated from the equation, right, that conditioning, that brainwashing, that programming where we're using our words to express ourselves before we react, right, that wouldn't apply. I just read you the definition of free will. So I'm gonna go back to Nacho's point, man. Not having control of your sovereignty contradicts your supposed free will. All right.
So,
if you put up free will, that's what I'm saying. If you put up free will and we dissect
hold on,
it, go ahead. If you put up free,
go ahead, man.
If you put up free will, the first step of having free will, you can hear me right, Chris?
Yes.
The choice to choose their own actions. That's step one, right? Mm-hmm. Have nothing to do with laws, me choosing my own action. Control their behaviors, right? Have nothing to do with laws, have nothing to do with any of these other things that they're saying. And it says the action to ordinate like their behavior, their decisions. So if I have these three powers, it's defined as free will. Believe it or not, what's going on outside of me have nothing to do with free will.
Right. So I want to speak to that too. So I'm gonna read the definition because I already read it because I read it earlier in the beginning of this stream. So now the simple route is real simple. Free will usually means that people can make choices on their own without being completely controlled by what came before. That's what I just read regarding free will. And a lot of people like neuroscientists, where is it? Because I wrote it down here because my take is I can create my own choice, which then creates its own outcome, and that's still free will. Now, what the neuroscientist says this, and I'm gonna read it because I had to, like, say, write this out. Neuroscientists often argue that even your impulse to choose a new options still arises from a complex web of prior neutral process. That's what I read earlier. In other words, even that creative leap choosing something unexpected may be driven by unconscious brain activity, not a truly independent act. That goes a little bit deeper to what Un was saying. So, from a scientific angle, they might say even that new choice is just a product of a prior condition. It's not spontaneous, it's self determined in events. So, with all of that, this is a question I have, even I ask, I have to write this down because I know I was going to forget it. If I'm not fully, this is for you. If I'm not fully aware of the previous circumstances and I choose to make my own decision, how is that not free will?
The operative word would be prior conditioning. It's prior to conditioning. This is why I went back to our adolescent time, our adolescent years. Once we are raised and conditioned right from wrong, free will is gone. Alain.
No, because you're still, because, and granted, you're focusing on the outcomes of the free will, of how was it influenced. If I take away your right to choose, I just took your free will away. You still have a right to choose at the end of the day. That's the foundation of what free will is. Whether you know the outcome or whether it was influenced or not is irrelevant. Because the one example that we brought earlier, El Jefe brought an example of if you choose not to drink because your father's an alcoholic, you can still, you can still go ahead.
You just made one of many examples.
Right.
Here's another example, Chris. The philosophical and psychological concepts that individuals possess the capacity to make voluntary choices and dictate their own actions, here it comes, independent of natural laws, fate, or prior conditioning. Prior to the conditioning. Once you're conditioned, your free will is gone. You've been
That's not what that's saying.
Either directly or indirectly, which will be osmosis.
Now with that being the case, I still have to acknowledge there were predetermined factors that went into my decision making. But if I don't know what the predetermined factors are, and it's independent of whatever choice I decide to make, that doesn't negate the fact that free will. That doesn't negate the fact that free will doesn't exist. It still exists. I have to acknowledge everything about the predetermining factors. But if I don't know it's there, I cannot say what homeboy did next door to me made me make this decision. No, he's over there. That's totally independent. I don't know what's going on or what he's doing, but what I'm doing right here, right now, is independent of anything and everything of the influence to the outcome. So that's why I said free will still exists.
So then I would bring up Stockholm Syndrome and trauma bonding.
Oh, shoot.
That's indirect. That's direct and indirect influence, osmosis.
Just because you influence doesn't mean that you don't have free will.
Chris, does that make sense?
Okay, hold on.
Man, let me hear him say that one more time, because he brought up Stockholm Syndrome and being it directly or indirectly. So you're saying with those being direct and indirect, what are you going exactly with that?
So Stockholm Syndrome and trauma bonding are synonymous, right? Osmosis is where you're influenced indirectly. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm getting at. So does that make sense what I'm saying? So how do you still have free will where you used to be my prisoner? I influenced you now to identify what my indoctrination is. Now you're no longer a prisoner physically, but mentally you're still a prisoner of mine. You're committing crimes with me. That's Stockholm Syndrome.
As long as I make that decision to be a prisoner, whether it be physically or mentally, I will still have the free will, regardless of what the influence is. Because like this, like I'll put it like this, son. If I'm not gonna do that. Let me bring up Lolita real quick. And no, let me not do that.
Damn. You do know that's an actual diagnosis, right?
Stockholm Syndrome, yeah.
Right, but that's a person's free will was either taken. Here's an example where a person's free will could be taken away directly and indirectly.
Okay, so although I hear what you're saying regarding those examples, that I'm still trying to see where does that say free will doesn't exist. Because if I want to have sex with whoever and she says no, but I still have sex with her anyway. I just took away her. I just took away her option to choose. If you get what I'm saying.
Because they're no longer dictating their own actions.
That's still free. That's still free will. That's all I'm saying.
But the definition says dictate their own actions independent of natural laws, fate, or prior condition.
Right. So we all know what's going to happen, either legally or society, if I decide to take advantage of a woman. But if I still decide to do it anyway, I just threw caution to the wind. That doesn't negate the idea that free will doesn't exist. Because we all know that I will get stomped out, whether it be legally or in on the block if I was to take advantage of somebody in that format.
Right, okay, if we're talking about Stockholm syndrome in this case, the victim who started out as a victim, right, has now been conditioned to no longer. They're still a victim, and they're not aware of it anymore. They've been influenced to change their whole mindset.
It's crazy that people think that they don't have free will. I guess nobody got free will now since.
Can humans be brainwashed?
No, listen. Just because I am manipulated doesn't mean that I don't have free will. This is what I keep trying to tell you guys. Because at any moment, hello, any moment that go ahead, Chris.
No, go ahead. I'm just reading something.
Yeah, any moment that someone quote unquote is brainwashed, they have the ability to change their mind. They could. We hear it all the time. I was told this my whole life. This was right, and now I no longer want to subscribe to that doctrine. We see people leave religion all the time. So this idea, just because you was brainwashed, you don't have free will. You do have free will. You're just not exercising your free will.
So while they're brainwashed, they wouldn't know they're brainwashed. That's why they're brainwashed. Hey, Chris, can a human be hypnotized?
Yes.
And you have to give up your will.
So the reason why I asked Chris that question, if he would have said no, I would have said, well, then explain marketing to me.
Oh yeah, that is a form of hypnosis, a minute form of it, but that's still a form of hypnosis. Yes.
Right. So if you're so same with Stockholm syndrome. While I'm brainwashed, I wouldn't know I'm brainwashed.
And also keep in mind, and now granted, Stockholm syndrome is technically the extreme, but we can work with that. How does someone transition from sanity to Stockholm syndrome?
Well, then go ahead.
That's why the example I gave was they started out as a victim, kidnapping, trauma, stuff like that. Then they start identifying with their captor. It's also synonymous with trauma bonding.
Mm-hmm. Well, even then, that started by another extreme because somebody exercised their free will by taking away somebody's, which transitioned them into Stockholm.
But no, it's the illusion. That's what I keep telling you. It's the illusion that you don't have free will. And this is why I started, because I knew he was going to get here, Chris. This is why I started with my avatar example.
Mm-hmm.
She had the ability. She just didn't know the ability was inside of her. So this idea, I'm telling you, everybody have ability. Now, if you're not aware of the ability in you, that ability was never removed from you. It's just you're not exercising the ability that you have.
Yeah, you haven't unlocked because what you're talking about is you have it, you just haven't unlocked it yet for insert reason here. But once you do unlock that, you'll realize you had it all along. You just couldn't exercise it for whatever situation. In the Avatar case, she was adopted, and she had to eventually transition to that by way of whatever that she went through to get to that echelons of her skill set. Now, what Unapologetic is talking about in this example of Stockholm syndrome, the only thing I'm telling because Un is saying this girl, or I said girl because dudes could go through it too, especially we're talking about kidnapping. This person had their rights taken away from them based off of somebody who exercised their free will. So it's almost like what came first, the chicken or the egg ordeal. But I hear what Un is saying. I do. Trust me when I say I do. The problem is somebody exercised their free will by taking away somebody else's. and that's where you get the Stockholm syndrome situation based off of that example.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing that people have the ability to convince people that they don't have free will.
Mm-hmm.
I I can I can convince Chris right now. You ain't got no heart. The heart ain't in your body. It doesn't mean that the heart is not there. That's the point that I keep saying is like when we having this conversation, it says you no longer have the heart. I want y'all to understand what you're saying. You're saying that you no longer have the heart, and just because you convince somebody they don't have it doesn't mean that they don't have it.
Did he land?
Yeah. He like. Go ahead.
So I was just giving examples where I was just giving scenarios where a person doesn't have free will. You know what I'm saying? That's it. They can now when they have their epiphany and they wake up. Okay, cool. But while they're brainwashed, they're not aware of their free will. You even see with serial killers. You even see with serial killers. There's a dominant one, and there's a one that's submissive to that dominant one. Right? They take their social cues from the dominant one. Their free will in that time is not there. You see what I'm saying?
So it's like a relationship.
Hold on. Let him finish. I promise we're going to give it to you. I promise.
It is a relationship. It's a dynamic. It's called a dynamic. So now that's the stream shit. I was just answering the question and giving examples. Now, back to Nacho's point, because she made a very good point where she talked about sovereign. She brought into sovereign, right? So if a person says, I have free will to do whatever I want, I'm going to counter you with, well, you don't govern yourself. Alain.
Go ahead.
And that's the point that I was making is that so when it comes down to sovereign, it's no government can stop a woman from doing a deletion. But what they can
he said there's no government that can stop a woman from doing a baby deletion.
Nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do. Only they can do is create fear. If you do these things, this will be the consequences of doing it. So the government does not take her sovereign away. They just punish her for exercising her sovereign.
Yeah, and also on content brought up a good point. The Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony situation.
Stay right here. No.
Oh, okay.
Right here. Hey, listen. So everybody, you heard what he said, right? I said they repealed it at the federal level and pushed it to the state level. Then I said regulatory legislation. There's more regulatory legislation on a woman's body than your right to own guns. That's what I said. Okay. Now, you heard what he just said, right? He said there's no states. None is what he said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Abortion is currently banned in 13 states. In
I
these
didn't
states,
say that.
The procedure is prohibited. Can I finish?
I got it.
Y'all heard? The man literally just said there are no states that stops a woman from having an abortion. I'm going to repeat it again so he can't backpedal when I get done reading what I'm about to read.
I didn't say that.
I heard what he said, right? I got you. So abortion is currently banned in 13 states. It's only 50. Okay? In these states, the procedure is prohibited with very limited or no exceptions, such as to prevent the death of the pregnant patient. Alabama, Arkansas, Idaho, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, West Virginia. Additionally, several other states have severely restricted abortions by instituting early gestational limits, 6 weeks. Florida, Georgia, Iowa, South Carolina, 12 to 22 weeks. Meaning after this period, it is illegal to have a fucking abortion. Okay? 12 to 22 weeks. Nebraska, North Carolina, Ohio, Utah, restrict abortion access before fetal viability. That's all I was saying. That land.
Okay, so that's correct. What Edelman is saying, I ultimately agree with him, is that you can still physically, regardless, those are the laws. You name out the laws and you name them at the state on the state level. And let me say Oklahoma, because I heard you brought up Oklahoma. If there's a woman in Oklahoma right now, although the law says if you get an abortion, here are the penalties. There's no government official that's going to physically stop her from getting an abortion if she wants to get to abortion. Matter of fact, if I recall correctly, they are traveling to other states to get the abortion.
No, right there, Chris. but they're not having it in the state they got pregnant in.
Right. No, that's the point.
They
That's the point.
are.
No, hold
They
on.
are though.
Well, no, man, you're right. They are. But so, that's ultimately my point. What I'm saying is, you can put all these laws into play. You, for the most part, are not going to stop me from doing what I want to do. We have laws in place against murder, and people still go out and murder. Whether you believe Carmelo Anthony committed manslaughter or murder, I might open room for that conversation because I'm about tired talking about that. I talked about it ad nauseam enough as is, but nothing. There was no law that stopped Carmelo Anthony from taking Austin Metcalf's life. He did it anyways.
And the
That's
law
what we're
does.
saying.
Hold on. This Chris, this is important.
Can
Go
a
ahead.
woman get
Hold
The,
on,
pregnant?
the
1
law
second.
doesn't say.
Let me give it to you real quick. I'm gonna give it to you, and I promise. Ego.
All right.
The law doesn't say you can't murder. The law says if you murder, this is what's going to happen because they know they can't stop it. It's no law. Like that's why I keep telling people, like, they keep saying, oh, it's a law that says that you can't get murdered. Tell me the law that says you can't murder people. It says if a person commits murder, this will be their consequences for doing it. They can't stop it. They just can punish you for doing it.
Yeah, that's all we're saying. That's all we're saying. We acknowledge what you say because that's 100% correct. We're just saying there is no law in place that can physically stop us.
Right, but the law, the stat laws laws are there to be a deterrent. That's
We acknowledge that as well. Yes.
right. So you can't even commit. It's illegal for you to try to commit suicide.
Yes.
States, right. It's illegal for me to assist you.
Correct.
So if I had free will over my person, back to sovereignty, if I had free will over my person, it shouldn't be a crime at all in no state for me to kill myself.
But you're arguing that it shouldn't be a punishment.
Not. Can I finish?
Hold on, hold on.
He did a long pause. I apologize. Go
No,
ahead.
it's all good. It's all good.
This shit is funny to me. Listen, man. If you had free will, you could kill yourself and it wouldn't be a crime.
You can.
If you live.
No, you can't. Listen, this is the. I don't.
No, because
If you think
I see here's the problem. I know I discovered a problem because I always talk about this. I always say principality over legality. This is where you cannot merge. You really cannot merge the two per se. It's like, what are your principles and what does the legal system say? Like, we agree with what you're saying, but we're coming this from a different angle. Let me bring up. I hate bringing this guy up, but I'm gonna do it here. So everybody on stage know who I'm about to go with. Man, this is completely, you have no idea about the situation. So, oh damn. When it comes to legality, there are laws that allows 16-year-olds to make certain decisions that we would not agree with. Correct?
sure.
And I know everybody on stage know who I'm talking about. I'm just not saying his name. I'm trying not to say his name on my platform.
What'd you say? Say it again.
There are certain laws that allows a 16-year-old to make certain decisions that, based off of principle, we disagree with. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So although there's a law for I'm gonna tread carefully because this makes me want to throw up. There is a law for that doesn't stop. Do you guys know what I'm trying to say? Because I'm really trying not to say at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes, I know what you're saying, and I'm telling you, Chris. If United States made a law tomorrow says that you can't serve Jesus, it's nothing that law can stop me. They say you gonna get life in jail. They cannot take my free will to do it. A lot of people are scary and pussies, so I get that they gonna just bold and do it and do what they say. We saw this, that they cannot do anything. These laws are not really real. They're just fear tactics that people believe.
Right. I agree. That part I do agree with. And we know that, and I was like to say again, I know what Un is coming from. You can't have free will if these laws are in play. But here's how I know Un has free will. Un is making a decision to be a law-abiding citizen. He's making that decision, and he has every right to make that decision. That's his choice. And there are some people who are, we know though, they come on the app all the time, who are not law-abiding citizens at all, and they still go do what they want to do anyway. The common denominator is both parties decided to make a decision, and they are willing to live with whatever outcomes of that decision, whether they were fully aware of it or not. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm landing on.
All right, Chris, I appreciate you having me. This is a good Maybe I need to go to Clubhouse because I think people can't hear me. That's why they couldn't. It might have been a disconnect.
It's all good. I need to get a better, probably later on this year, I'm working on getting investing more into my equipment, so that way the audio stuff, we can bypass all that and everybody can have a different type of conversation. But either, man, you're my guy, man. Appreciate you, man. Come back anytime.
Yeah, appreciate you, brother. And just remember, nobody can take your free will. You can give it away.
Yes, sir. And I honestly appreciate you. Good debate. So appreciate you, man.
Good talking to you guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Edelman Williams. Hey, and those on Clubhouse, the link is up top. Y'all can go ahead to Welcome to Louisiana. I appreciate you guys. And Nacho, thank you for that perspective, because I'm actually going to sit back, and that's actually a topic in of itself regarding women, patriarchal system, and being sovereign within it. That's a conversation that I want to actually take my time with before I even do a deep dive in that. So I appreciate you on that one. I appreciate you regarding that, and El Jefe as well, because you two are on the same page regarding free will. So to have that back and forth, that debate, that was definitely necessary. So I appreciate you guys on that. But let's go ahead and close out, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to Replay Game. You guys go ahead and go ahead, click the link, go to Welcome to Louisiana. We'll send you guys over there, and let me see who's still on YouTube right now. I'll see who will I suggest for you guys to go to YouTube and go kick it with. And don't worry, whenever I get monetized, I'm definitely going to just post a link, and you guys can just transition over there. We're working on it, trust me. Who is all here? Let us see. I believe. Oh, damn. Now there ain't a lot of people that's online. That's crazy. And Grayson follow some more of these kids stuff. I swear to God, I might have a word with them. Red Lipstick Valley is on. Trader Truth Teller is on right now. I don't know if Angry Man is there right now or not. Let me see. If this thing goes a little bit faster. Oh, well, fuck it. We'll figure that out later. But we're going to go ahead and shut down, ladies and gentlemen. Where is this thing at? Here we go. If you guys enjoyed today's stream, I know I did, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Get that out here. Follow me on all my socials. The links are located in the description. Participants waive all rights and privacy. We're on road to 1,500 subscribers. Once we reach that goal, we'll do the Cash App giveaway of $150, and we're going to do first and second runner-up, ladies and gentlemen. So, shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is the BTSI show. That's still frozen, per usual. I'm your host, Christopher J. I will talk to you guys later. Peace out. Y'all enjoy yourselves.
Like an extraterrestrial. Doctor? Like I don't belong. I feel like I don't belong. Like I don't belong. extraterrestrial, extraterrestrial, extraterrestrial. Like I don't belong, I feel like I don't belong. Like I don't belong, I feel like I don't belong. Extraterrestrial, 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 extraterrestrial. Like an extraterrestrial, extraterrestrial. Like I don't belong, I feel like I don't belong. Like I don't belong, I feel like I don't belong. Extraterrestrial, 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 extraterrestrial. Like I don't belong, I feel like I don't belong. Like I don't belong, I feel like I don't belong.
It's a mess. Hey, don't even worry about it.
Extraterrestrial.